So this is a follow-up video to the last one I made about how to nest in Rhino using OpenNest. And I just want to go over some small updates and just one major change I made to the grasshopper definition, which helps a lot with the labeling. So I'm going to go into Rhino and I'm going to open up the package manager. I'm just going to look at what I have installed here. So for OpenNest, I actually have the latest version installed. I know for some people the 2.0 versions weren't actually nesting polysurfaces. And for those people, I was saying to revert back to version 1.5.1, which is the last version that I know of that was quite stable with nesting 3D parts. So everything's fine now, though, as far as I can tell. You're going to also want to install the byRhinoGadget plugin and Bowerbird along with another plugin, this one here, Elefront, which I don't know why that wasn't showing up, but basically you want these four plugins: OpenNest, byRhinoGadget, Elefront, and Bowerbird in order to make this work the way that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to minimize this. So this is the original model that we'd used. So I'm going to pull up Grasshopper, and I already have this version of the Grasshopper definition loaded. So there's actually two versions. This one uses the bounding box of the objects, and it's a lot faster in calculating the nested positions because it's using the bounding box, but it's not ideal for parts that are curved, that kind of intrude on each other's bounding box. So if you want to use, if you're trying to nest parts that look like, curved with like a half moon shape or something like that, that nest into each other, you're going to want to use the other version, which is this guy. So it's the polysurfaces version. This is a bit slower to run, but it should more accurately nest parts. But let's go back to the previous version. So the bounding box version, and I'm just gonna run this really quick. So actually, the first step is to lay these parts flat. So that's where the byRhinoGadget plugin comes in. Turn this layer off, and under byRhinoGadget tab right here, I'm going to run this command: orient by flat face to XY plane. So right click that, and under the settings here, copy yes, space 0.5 inches. That's fine. Okay, so I ran it. I'm just going to grab these parts, ungroup everything. Just going to move these off to the side. And so notice we have here, let's actually do this command, convert extrusion. So run that again. Convert extrusion, select extrusions to convert. Delete input, yes. Okay, so I'm just making sure everything's a polysurface so that I can, just see the readout afterwards and compare them. So I'm going to turn on my CNC layer, and let's pull up Grasshopper again. And starting out here, I'm going to right click the curve node right here, set multiple curves. I'm going to select all these sheets right here, and then for the geometry itself, I'm going to right click this geo right here and say set multiple geometries. I'm going to grab all my parts here. I'm going to wait a sec. Once it's all grayed out, it should work, and there we can see it's nested everything. Now what's different here is this guy. This is the Bowerbird. This is from the Bowerbird plugin, which you can see up here under B. Okay, so this actually lets you take your text that you've assigned to the parts previously. So every part has a unique name, right? And if there's duplicate parts, I've just given it unique names, or I've given it the same name. But you want to, the whole point of this type of nesting is to take the names from the objects and then transfer them onto the nested parts, and then be able to engrave them or laser etch them or whatever. And that's how you keep your labeling system consistent. So I'm going to pull up Grasshopper again. I'm just going to highlight this, actually the groupings of it, and you can see every part has a unique name in a single line font, right? So if I come here and I say bake, I right click and bake. I'm just going to put these on my CNC layer under engrave text. Okay, so here's the label for that part. it's grouped together, but it's actually lines, right? Which is what you want for running the toolpath. Okay. And I'm going to go back to grasshopper, and I'm going to say bake here. And now you have your actual parts, and we've kept the original object name in the nested part, which was an issue in the past with OpenNest. You can't do that on its own, and that's why we use the Elefront plugin, because it takes the attributes it takes the names of the objects and then carries them over to the nested geometry. Okay, so the main difference here is from the previous tutorial is this guy, the Bowerbird text. And I've included this group function right here just so that when you output the text, it's not a bunch of disparate lines. They're actually grouped together per label. And you can watch the previous tutorial about recommendations of how to rotate these labels in a more automated way. I'm not going to go over that right now. But yeah, this tutorial is basically just to show that the grasshopper definition still works. And it's been made, a bit easier by including the labeling inside of the definition itself, so you don't have to run the script from before and pull the labels. But yeah, I'm going to include the two grasshopper definitions in the video description. I'll just let me pull up the other file right now, the polysurfaces one, and I'm going to delete. I'm going to just delete all this stuff and show you how that works. Okay, so let me delete this engraved text as well. And I'm going to pull this up. I'm just going to clear these values, start from scratch. Okay, so set multiple curves. I'm grabbing all my sheets. These are 4x8 sheets. And then here I'm going to say set multiple breps, and I'm going to grab the original geometry. And I'm going to run it. It's going to take a bit longer, and if the parts are more complicated, it'll take longer. But we can see that it worked, and it functions in the same way. You have all the labels located at the center of each polysurface. Okay, so same basic functionality. That's all.